Okay, so in this question here, it wants me to find the highest common factor of the following pairs of numbers. So let's look at 8 and 13. Okay, so with B, where I have 8 and 13, what I want to do is I want to think, and I'm looking for the highest common factor. So I want to start with high factors of 8. So high factors of 8, if I list out the factors of 8 here, is I know 8 divides into 8. The next thing that divides into 8 will be 4. Okay, so I've just started listing out the factors here. Okay, and I know that 2 will also go into 8 and 1 will also go into 8. Now if I think about 13, things that will divide into 13, well I know 13 will, and nothing else really other than 1. So if I now look at for what we call for common factors between these two, okay, so the common factors that I can highlight are basically here. And the only common factor that there is 1. So in terms of this, the highest common factor in this instance is 1. Okay, is the highest common factor. So let's just have a quick look now at F. Okay, and we approach it in the same way. I have 15 and 60. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out my factors here of 15, starting from highest to lowest. Okay, and so I've got 15. I know that the next number that will really go into 15 will be 5, okay, and I've got 3 and I have 1, okay. So what I then want to do with 60 is I want to think, okay, my highest common factor here is 15, right? So all I really need to do is I need to think, okay, does 15 go into that number? Does 15 go into 60? It does. It actually goes in 4 times. So I have 15 times 4 is a factor, 2 factors here. So my highest common factor here is 15 because it occurs in both of those. So I don't need to list out all of the factors. All I need to do is identify the highest one. Okay, and so this is a quick way of being able to do this. So my highest common factor in this instance is 15. Okay, now let's have a quick look at J. Okay, so with J, right, what I need is I've got 75 and 125. Now I always start on the smaller number first and look at factors of that number, okay? Now what I want to do is I want to identify the highest factors first. Now an easy way is thinking of, well, I know that I know 1 will go into it 75 times. Okay, so 1 times 75 gives me that. I know, well, 2 can't. Will 3 go into it? Yep, 3 will go into it 25 times. Okay, and I also know that 4 can't, but 5 can. Okay, and 5 can go into it 15 times. Okay, and I don't really need to necessarily start listing out any of the other factors at the moment, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the highest factor here, and I'm going to think, can 75 divide into 125? No, it can't, because 2 lots of 75 will be 150. So it can't. Okay, so it's not going to be the highest common factor. Let's look at the next highest factor here of 75. The next highest factor is 25. Can 25 go into that? Yes, it can. Right, 25 actually goes into that 5 times. So 5 lots of 25. Right, so what I've done now is I've identified the highest common factor that appears for both of these. So I don't need to list out all of the factors for either one. I just need to look at the smaller number first and list out the factors of the smaller number, and then see if those factors divide into the bigger number and how many times they do. So I know here that my highest common factor on this instance is 25.